Well, hello for everybody who wants to know more about the present perfect. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing a lesson. I'm going to share some explanations about what the present perfect is. And I'm also going live in another platform just so I can reach more people with this content because this is definitely a very relevant content as most of you, a lot of people find it very useful, and a lot of people are very curious about how to use the present perfect. So, in this lesson, in this live, I'm going to share some ideas about the present perfect. Yes, it is a difficult topic. Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but if you follow along, in the future, I'll do lives. I'll vary a little bit. Yeah, I'll do simple lives, easy lives, and I will also do more complicated, more complex lives. This is pretty much an intermediate like level of lesson because the present perfect is not that simple, but let's go. What is the present perfect? Well, first of all, the present perfect is um, is formed by have, has, and have or has, plus the past participle form of the verb. Have, if we use I, you, we, and they, and has, if we use he, she, or it. Now, when do we use? What is one of the functions of the present perfect? Well, the first situation in which we can use the present perfect is to show a finished past, an experience that you are sharing about the past, and um, the exact time is unmentioned. It is not necessary because it's unknown. It's either unknown, something that we don't know when it happened, or because it isn't important. It is irrelevant for us because the focus is on the experience. Now, a few examples for you guys is um, I, like I said, I use the have and the verb in the past participle. So I have been to Canada before. Yeah, so I'm using a time adverbial before, but I'm not saying when exactly. I have visited the Statue of Liberty in New York. Yeah. So I'm using have plus verb in the past participle. Now, here, what's the difference between the present perfect and the simple past? A lot of people may ask that. Yeah, and the difference between simple past and the present perfect is that the present perfect does not show when the action occurred. Yeah. So I don't know when. So we basically don't use time markers, but to emphasize a specific moment in the past, we can definitely use, for instance, a some time adverbials. We can use already, we can use still, yet, ever, and even never. Yeah. For instance, examples, ever is pretty commonly used with questions. Have you ever been to the United States? Have you ever been to Canada? Have you ever been to Japan? Yeah, so I'm using ever to emphasize the question. Yeah. If this has happened any time in your life in the past, any moment in your life in the past. Yeah. Now, ever is also possible to be used in negative sentences. Yeah. So you could say, I have never ever visited Paris. Yeah. So you can see that I have never ever visited Paris. Never ever. I'm emphasizing the negative, like really never. This really never happened. Now, like I said, we can use never, another time adverbial, and never is a time adverbial with the present perfect. Yeah, this is the point of our lesson today. Never for something, for an experience that really never happened. I have never traveled to Japan. Yeah, I have never eaten pizza. Yeah, I have never had that experience, for instance. Yeah, dr- um, I have never drunk soft drinks. Yeah. So examples of the present perfect with the adverb, yeah, or the time adverbial never. Now, when do we use the time adverbial yet with the present perfect? The point of this lesson again, present perfect. When do we use the adverb yet? We use the adverb yet with the present perfect to in the negative sentences, and in the negative sentences with an idea of something that we haven't experienced, but we have the plan to experience them. I For example, one experience I haven't had yet was is going to Disney. So I could say I haven't been to Disney yet. Yeah. So I haven't been to Disney yet. Yeah, I haven't had this experience, but I want to have this experience. When I use yet, yeah, it means that I do want to have this experience. I want to experience going to Disney. So I'm expliciting that to you with yet. If I just say, I haven't been to Disney, I haven't been to Disney, it's neutral. I'm just saying that this hasn't happened. If I say, I have never been to Disney, and I use never, as I explained before, never, it seems okay, I never had this experience, and it sounds like this is not that important for me. Yeah. Now, if I say, I have not been to Disney yet, it means that I do want to have this experience one day. Now, already, when do we use already with the present perfect? We use already with the present perfect to express something as of a surprise, something that was not expected by someone. Yeah. For instance, I have to deliver a report at work, and the deadline, okay, today is a Saturday. My deadline is next Friday. And on Monday, I get to my boss and I talk to my boss. Hey, boss, on Monday, I start the project, and on Tuesday, I finish it. So I come to my boss and I say, boss, I have already finished the report. I have already finished the report because I finished this report before the time that I was expected from my boss. So that's the idea of using the present perfect with using the present perfect with this, yeah, with already. Now, yeah, we can use the present perfect with always. When do we use present perfect with always? With an experience that is that has been present in my life for a long time. So I could say something like, I have always eaten banana for breakfast. Yeah. So I have always eaten banana for breakfast. So I have is the auxiliary verb of the present perfect. Have is not a verb. So I have already, yeah, I have always eaten. Eaten is the past participle form of the verb. So I have already, or I have always eaten banana for breakfast. I have always eaten banana for breakfast. This has always been since I remember, yeah, for a long period of time. I have eaten banana for breakfast. Banana and oat. I don't know if you guys know oat. The spelling is OAT. Yeah. Yeah, people use that to make porridge. Like to make the porridge is like some sort of a soup mixture of this grain, which is called oat for the kids. Anyway, I'm sharing here the experience between the present perfect and the simple past. What's the simple past? Well, the simple past is, because again, the present perfect, just for those coming in right now, the present perfect is used to talk about an experience in the past, but not necessarily an experience in the past with time. We don't mention the time. Like I said, I have been to Paris. Now, when we use the simple past, that's not the present perfect, it shows when an action occurred. So it's extremely important, it's extremely necessary that you share the time. You must share the time. Yeah. So time markers that we can use with the simple past would be yesterday, last, for example, last week, last month, last year. Yeah. So last week, last month, for example, we are in September. So last month would be August. Last year would be 2024. Yeah, 2024, because we are now in 2025, 2025. Now, time markers for simple past yesterday. So I'll get an activity and I could say, I worked all day yesterday. I only use the verb in the past. I don't use have. I worked all day yesterday. Another one in the simple past, like I said last week, I traveled to the beach last week. Yeah, so I'm using the verb travel in the past. No have, no has, no auxiliary, just the verb in the past in time. I traveled to the beach last week. And we can use another time marker for simple past to talk about the past. Specific time when is ago. I can say, to be more like precise, I can talk about days, years, or even months, or even weeks. I I had a day off of work 2 days ago. Yeah, so I'm talking about 2 days in the past. I had a day off. I did not work 2 days in the past. Now, again, time adverbials, we can use with the present perfect. Ever. So again, we use ever, time adverbial with the present perfect. We use ever to emphasize at any time in the past. We usually use it for questions, but of course, we can definitely use that for positive sentences and even negative sentences with not or never. Yeah. For instance, this is the best experience I have ever lived. Yeah. Or this is the best hotel I have ever stayed at. So I have ever stayed. I have ever lived. I'm using ever to emphasize a present, yeah, experience. Now, question to emphasize the question. I can say, have you traveled by yourself? Have you had the experience of traveling alone, without friends, without family? If I want to emphasize that question, I can say, have you ever traveled by yourself? Have you ever traveled without friends, without family, only you? Yeah. Have you ever experienced this? any time in the past. Yeah, I'm not talking about the present. I'm talking about the past. Yeah. And I'm not giving you a specific time because the focus here is experience. Now, a negative sentence with Eva, she hasn't or she has never ever been to Europe. She hasn't ever been to Europe. I'm sharing an experience that never really happened in the past, emphasizing that this action really has not ever happened. Yeah, has never really happened. Now I'm saying never a lot of times. Yes, never is another common time adverbial that we can use for the present perfect. For instance, we use never to emphasize at no time in the past. This experience really is negative for the past. He, I've been using a lot of I have. I'm going to use, for instance, he, because I said he, she, it, we use has as an auxiliary verb. So I can say, he has never flown on an airplane. Yeah. He has never had the experience on going inside an airplane and flying. Now, another time adverbial that we use with the present perfect, and I'm quite kind of reviewing a little bit, is already. Now, we use already to emphasize an action that has happened. Yeah, and we use it for positive sentences and questions. So I have something that people are not expecting, like I said. So, oh, let's go to the cinema this weekend. There's this new movie, yeah, being released, and it's in the cinema. And I would say, oh, I have already bought my ticket. Yeah, I have already bought my ticket. So I have the ticket. Yeah, and the other person wasn't expecting that. So, oh, okay, so I'm gonna buy my ticket today. Yeah. Now, I can use that also, again, to emphasize this action that has happened, but in a question. How does that sound like? Well, I don't expect too much, yeah, but it could be that you come with me with a positive answer, or yeah, with a positive answer. For instance, have you already been to Rome? Or has John already been to Rome? Yeah, so I'm using has for he, have for you. Have you already been to Rome? Yeah, I'm asking if you have experienced that before. Another time adverbial we can use with the present perfect is yet. Now we use yet when, again, it was the last one I spoke before reviewing all of that, is to use when we haven't done something, but we want to do it. We want to plan for it. Yeah. We have the intention to have this experience in the future. Yeah. For instance, the cinema example, I, oh, let's go to the cinema tonight. And I say, oh, let's go. I haven't bought my ticket yet, but I have the intention to buy it. And it's important that I buy beforehand because it's a movie that a lot of people want to watch, and it's possible the tickets are sold out before I even buy them. So I should buy as soon as possible. Now, we can also use yet for questions, especially if in the present perfect, especially if you have shared with me that you have the intention to have an experience. Let's say we are having a conversation and you tell me you want to travel to China. And you say, oh, I want to travel to China one day. I don't have really big plans, but, um, but, yes, I want to travel to China one day, but I don't know when. Then what happens is I will say, okay, wait up. I have two lives open here. Yeah, so I'm accessing from and I'm making sure I'm interacting with everybody at the same time. But yeah, again, so I'm using yet in the question to show this experience. So I'm saying, okay, have you been to Rome yet? Or have you been to China yet? Because you told me you wanted to go to China. So I have this in my mind. Yeah, I have this experience or this memory that you told me that you want to go to China. So I'm saying, have you been to China yet? And another time adverbial that we can use with the present perfect that is common is still. Now, how do we use still with the present perfect? We can use still when we haven't done something, when an experience hasn't been or hasn't happened to us, hasn't occurred to us, but we want to do it or we want to plan it. Yeah. It's similar to yet. Similar, not exactly, but yeah. So I could say, going back to the example, or maybe I want to go to China, and I'll say, I still haven't traveled to China. I still haven't been to China. Yeah. I haven't had this experience, but I do want to have this experience. I still haven't eaten. Oh, what's an interesting type of food that some people eat that I could share here? Mm, I don't know, but I guess I still haven't eaten scarlet eggplant. People do say it's a horrible food. Yeah, it tastes really bad. Some people say they fry it and it tastes good. I'm not really sure. I still haven't eaten scarlet eggplant. So I still haven't eaten that. Means I haven't had this experience. I haven't done it, but I want to do it. I want to plan so this happens in my life. This is one function of the present perfect when we talk about an experience from the past without time. Now, what is the other function? What is the other way we can use the present perfect for? We can use the present perfect to show an action that started in the past and continues in the present. Yeah. And perhaps may even continue in the future. Yeah. So, for instance, time markers that we can use for that. In this time, yes, in this time, we use time with the present perfect. It's possible to use time with the present perfect. We must use adverbs, time markers, such as for and since. Example, I have been married for 8 years. So for 8 years, I continue married. Yeah, so I married in the past 8 years ago. I continue married, and it's possible. I am married now, and it's possible I'll continue married. There's also the idea of since. What's the difference between since? What's the difference between since and for with the present perfect? For we talk about duration. So I have been married for 8 years, and since for the beginning of the period to show when this period started. I have been married since, well, if we consider 8 years, that's we are in 2025, 2020, 3 years less, 2017. I have been married since 2017, 2017. Yeah. I'm using since or for with the present perfect to talk about something that started in the past, continues in the present, and it may continue in the future. Yeah. Now, here, okay. Now, the focus of the present perfect is, again, on the past to the present. Yeah, because what is perfect in the present perfect? Perfect is the past of. So present perfect is the past of the present. Past perfect is the past of the past. Two past actions where one action happened before another action, but both actions are in the past. Future perfect is the past of the future. I know it sounds strange, it sounds weird, but what's the past of the future? The past of the future is two actions in the future, but one action will happen or will have happened before another action also in the future. That's the past of the future perfect. We have a lot of options. Yeah, we have. We can talk about the perfect, and always in the perfect tenses, we use the verbs in the past participle form. Now, if we need to emphasize that action, that this action will continue in the future again, we can use the present perfect progressive, the present perfect continuous, because the present perfect continuous is something that started in the past, is happening in the present, and we want to emphasize that it will still continue in the future. If I say, for example, present perfect, I have worked in this company for 5 years. I continue working, and it may continue in the future. If I really want to emphasize that I will continue working in this company because I love working here, the best option, the best choice is present perfect continuous. I have been studying, I have been working for this company for 5 years. So 5 years that I've been working with this company, and I will continue working with this company. Well, that's one example of the present perfect continuous. Our focus here is the present perfect. Of course, if you are interested and you want to know more, please let me know. And in the future, I can have another live and other videos, of course, talking about the present perfect continuous. Today, we are talking about the present perfect. I'll share some examples here. I'll just say some sentences just so you can listen to some of the structures of the present perfect. Feel free to repeat if you will. Yeah, for example, pay attention. Present perfect now, without time, okay? With no time, just the experience. She has hiked. She has hiked up Mount Everest. Dill has gone on vacation. They have cycled through France. Mike has flown from Los Angeles to New York. You have sailed a boat before, haven't you? I'm using the tag question. This could be topic for another lesson as well. My friends have traveled a long way, yeah, long road to visit me. Examples of sentences of with the present perfect. Experience, no time. Another example, we have driven across the country. Another example, he has visited his family all over Europe. Yeah, he's gone backpacking in Europe. He has gone backpacking in Europe. My family has bought tickets to go to Hawaii next year. Yeah, so I'm talking about time, sure, but it's a future time. But I'm not saying when we bought the ticket. I'm saying that we have bought the ticket for a future event. For that, okay, we can put the time for the future of event, but not when the tickets have been bought. A few questions that you can ask people using the present perfect. For instance, have you ever traveled to another country? And again, I'm using ever to emphasize the question with the present perfect. Another one would be, have you ever walked through the jungle? Yeah. Have you ever gone whitewater rafting? Yeah. Have you ever flown across an ocean? Have you ever traveled across the United States of America? Yeah, from coast to coast, from California to Florida. Have you ever visited a temple in Japan? Questions you can use to ask people about experience in the past using the present perfect. Another one, have you ever been to Hawaii? Have you ever lived in another country? Have you ever seen the Eiffel Tower? Yeah. Have you ever seen the Eiffel Tower in Paris? So questions you can use to ask people about past experiences with the present perfect. Usually the present perfect is the most appropriate structure that you can use to ask people about past experiences. So, yes, use the present perfect to ask people about past experiences, yeah, experiences they had in their past without focusing on time. The focus is not the time. The focus of the present perfect is the experience, not the time. Yeah. Now, here, um, a little bit of a story with the mix because in the beginning of this lesson, in the beginning of this live, I shared the difference between the present perfect and the simple past. So, a little story with a mix of simple past and the present perfect. Have you ever been to Australia? I went there about 6 years ago. And first, I stopped in Sydney. I saw the Opera House while I was there, but I haven't walked across the Harbour Bridge yet. I have already been to Brisbane, yeah, and Melbourne, but I still haven't been to Cairns. I heard from my friend last week that Cairns is beautiful. Have you ever heard of Ayers Rock? I haven't gone there yet, but because it's pretty far, yeah, from Sydney or Melbourne. When I was in Australia last time, I traveled up the Gold Coast. I learned to surf, yeah, in Surfers Paradise, and it was fun. But I have never tried parasailing. Yeah. So I'll have to do. I'll have a lot to do in Australia when I go back there again one day. Yeah. So again, this is a story that I'm sharing with a mix of the uses of the present perfect and the simple past. I'm not using present perfect continuous because this is not the point right now in this lesson, as I said. Yeah. Now, again, some sentences I'm going to share now, some sentences, some examples of sentences. Feel free to repeat, if you will, that we can use for the present perfect using time. Time adverbials, for and since. Example number one. Have you lived here for many years? Example number two. He has thought about going to Africa since July 2012. Yeah, so this is when the beginning of the period again, the starting point of an experience when we use since. Another example, my parents have been my parents have been in Mexico for a couple of days now. Yeah. Now, Marco has dreamed about going to Brazil since he was a child. She hasn't been to Mexico since she was 6 years old. So, yes, we can use since and for with the present perfect with negative structures as well, with negative sentences. Another example with the present perfect, Julia has wanted to travel to China since she was a TV show, since she saw a TV show about it. That's another example, present perfect sentence. Now, well, I guess this is what I have to share with you today. Yeah. I will be coming back for more lives, but feel free. I have my channels here, so feel free to access my videos in my channels so you can check a lot of vocabulary and a lot of other explanations. And feel free to comment with things that you want to know more about English, and I can definitely help you and explain that to you with the video. That would be nice. Thanks for your participation. Cheers. Thanks for being here.